What's up, music lovers? Thanks for clicking on my channel. Talk about a really difficult list to write because Judas Priest is not only one of my all-time favorite bands, one of the bands that has had the biggest influence on me, but they're also a band that has a lot of different eras and a lot of different sounds. So am I saying that this is the definitive list and I'm completely sure about it? No way. If you disagree with me, feel free to let me know, and let me know in the comments below what your favorite Judas Priest songs are. And before we get started, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, drop a comment, all of that YouTube stuff. With all that self-promotion out of the way, let's get into it and start talking about some Judas Priest. Coming in at number 20 is You Don't Have to Be Old to Be Wise from British Steel. Okay, so this song does not have a title that really rolls off the tongue. It's almost a run-on sentence, but be that as it may, it still has a really great chorus. It allows for some kind of chanting vocals with the you don't, and then some more melodic vocals with the have to be old to be wise. Plus, the chorus also leaves a lot of space for the guitars to just do these really cool licks in between. And this whole song kind of feels like a prototype for You Got Another Thing Coming. Coming in at number 19 is Evil Fantasies from Hellbent for Leather, or Killing Machine if you're across the pond. Judas Priest does their version of Led Zeppelin, so it's a bit more hardcore. The drumming by Les Banks on this song has that big, booming, John Bonham-esque feel to it, and the song also has a lot of swagger, which is not something you typically associate with Judas Priest. Coming in at number 18 is All Guns Blazing from Painkiller. Oh yeah, this is some heavy stuff right here. The intro with all the vocal harmonies instantly grabs you, and then before you know it, you are just slammed into this super heavy riff, and the song never lets go of you. It's freaking intense. Coming in at number 17 is Hot Rockin' from Point of Entry. Another really great intro, just going straight into an awesome rockin' riff. Although Point of Entry is far from the best Judas Priest album, the few tracks on it that are standouts, like Hot Rockin', Desert Plains, Heading Out to the Highway, are all really good, and I think that this is probably my favorite song from the album. Hot Rockin' also has a really cool post-solo section, which Judas Priest really would do a lot of on some of their songs from the late 70s, early 80s. You'd have this really cool solo, and then just this kind of after post-solo bridge that just builds up back into the chorus, and yeah, this one's really cool with all these cool drum fills and the main riff kind of just sitting on it. Coming in at number 16 is Delivering the Goods from Hellbent for Leather / Killing Machine. Another song that is very much Judas Priest does Led Zeppelin. Hellbent for Leather is a really unique album because it kind of has the last bits of Judas Priest's progressive sound from the 70s while being really dark and heavy but also very polished. And the song is also very thrashy while Rob just gets to do his best Robert Plant impression, so I mean, what's not to love about it? Coming in at number 15 is Blood Red Skies from Ram It Down. The best song from this album by far, although the title track is also pretty cool. Blood Red Skies is so unbelievably epic, and it harkens back to the 1970s sound that Judas Priest had going, where they were a bit more experimental and they would always kind of try to add in new textures. But when they do that and add in the technology of the 1980s with the drum machine and the synthesizers, it actually really enhances the story that the song is telling. The lyrics are telling the story of someone's last stand against a kind of Skynet type villain, so yeah, that kind of more mechanical and robotic sound in the drums with the synthesizers really adds to it. Coming in at number 14 is White Heat, Red Hot from Stained Class. This is not going to be the last song from this album. This might be my favorite Judas Priest album. It is so good. Les Banks' drumming is absolutely insane. I love the double bass pedal. The song grooves, and it also has some heavy riffs as well. And plus, Rob Halford just has these really shrill vocal deliveries. And towards the end of the song, when they kind of hold out the last note for a little bit longer than they should, they play with your expectations, and this song is just filled with amazing little nuances like that. Coming in at number 13 is One Shot at Glory from Painkiller. The last song on what might be their heaviest album, an album that is filled with amazing guitar solos, and yeah, they realized they had to bring their A game for this one. Glenn and KK are just like, okay, more guitar solos for days. Let's take our guitar soloing up to 11. The guitar tone on all the tracks on this album just cuts like the sword of Damocles. And there's a lot of really cool counter melodies going on with the guitar lines in the pre-chorus. And for as fast and as heavy as the song is, it still has some progressive tendencies, which I always really like to see when Judas Priest is sort of experimenting a bit more. Coming in at number 12 is Riding on the Wind from Screaming for Vengeance. I love the insane drum intro, the great guitar riffs, the solos, the lyrics, Rob Halford's delivery of them. This song is so short and to the point and doesn't waste a second. Coming at number 11 is A Touch of Evil from Painkiller. On an album filled with amazing guitar solos, I think that this might be the best one. Glenn Tipton is such a master at making really memorable guitar solos. He always phrases them as if he's a singer singing a song. He builds up, pulls back a little bit, builds up a bit more, pulls back, and he just really always makes sure that if he's having a long guitar solo, you're not going to be bored by listening to it. One of my best friends is not that big of a fan of Judas Priest, and even he, when he hears this song, is like, oh yeah, this is incredible. So that's got to count for something. Coming at number 10 is Electric Eye from Screaming for Vengeance. How is this song only number 10? Well, Priest rules, and this was a really hard list to come up with, so you have that incredible intro, amazing riffs all throughout the song, an absolutely amazing killer solo from Glenn Tipton. You have a post-solo bridge, which is awesome, which is sort of a staple of this era of Judas Priest. And you have lyrics inspired by 1984 by George Orwell. So yeah, it's one of the defining metal songs, and it's awesome. By the way, if you want to hear an instrumental song of mine called Waking Giant, there's a link down below. I'm a huge fan of Judas Priest, and my solo on this was trying to be sort of like my version of like Glenn Tipton or Marty Friedman, so go check that out if you want. You might really like it. Anyway, back to the list. Coming at number 9 is Burning Up from Hellbent for Leather. Another song that even my friend who isn't a big fan of Judas Priest has to admit is incredible. Burning Up grooves so hard, and I think it's a really good example of why Ian Hill and Les Binks are an amazing and really underappreciated rhythm section as far as heavy metal goes. The dual guitars and Rob Halford's amazing voice always get the attention when people are talking about Judas Priest, but Ian Hill is a very underrated and subtle bass player, and despite all the different drummers they had throughout the years, they always had a really good heavy bottom end, and that's because of his bass playing. Coming at number 8 is Tyrant from Sad Wings of Destiny. Oh yeah, Sad Wings of Destiny is another album that might be my all-time favorite, and Tyrant is just such an amazing way to kick it off. Once again, amazing lyrics, and I love how Rob Halford is just doubling, tripling, quadrupling all his vocals. It's like Queen but heavy metal. This song is sort of laying the foundation for what would go on to be power metal and thrash metal all the way back in 1976, but it also has that really cool, this is the 1970s, so we'll just experiment and try anything kind of vibe to it. It was before heavy metal got so rigid in what its definition was, so there was more experimentation, which is something I just really love about the 1970s. You got amazing guitar leads by Glenn and KK. My only gripe with this album is that sometimes the guitar tone just isn't quite as good as it would be, but you know, the songwriting's there, so I'm still gonna love it. Coming at number 7 is the Sentinel from Defenders of the Faith. That guitar intro. Do I have to say more? Honestly, everything about the song. Sometimes I'll go quite a while without listening to Judas Priest, and I'll find myself thinking to myself, yeah, you know, they were really cool in the 70s, but in the 80s they kind of got a bit cliche and they lost a lot of their experimentation and they just weren't as good. And then I listen to songs like The Sentinel and a few other songs that are going to be coming up, and I'm like, oh wait, yeah, they were still amazing. I wasn't thinking about Judas Priest. I was thinking about all the bands that tried to copy them in the 80s that were not as good. Coming at number 6 is Stained Class from the album Stained Class. I love the depth in these lyrics. Long ago when man was made, his heart was cleaned. Now he's stained class. Time has smashed each untouched thing, so now he's just a stained class king. It's like Rob Halford was reading some Rousseau before he came up with these. I just love the idea of, you know, maybe as a species we sort of lost something since we decided to form civilization, which I know is very ironic coming from someone who is speaking into a camera and is going to upload this on YouTube, but even still, I think there is a point to, you know, the fact that maybe we've lost something that we can't really ever get back as a result of us deciding to form civilizations. Stained Class has a really cool gallop riff, an interesting structure, plus you get that really cool breakdown, and the guitar tone has this really cool quality to it that Priest never did before or since, so yeah, Stained Class is easily one of my favorite songs by them. Alright, so now we're getting into the top 5, and this was a pretty difficult list, but I feel good about these top 5 being this high up. Coming in at number 5 is Dissident Aggressor from Sin After Sin. This song is so ridiculously heavy, even today, I can't imagine how it must have blown people's minds all the way back in the 1970s. You have insanely heavy riffs that are just pummeling. Rob Halford's iconic vocal intro with the 3-part harmonies where he's really high up there. The rhythm section gets to have a moment where they're swaggering, and the lyrics are about escaping a totalitarian regime, so all of that just sounds insanely metal to me. Coming in at number 4 is Screaming for Vengeance from Screaming for Vengeance. This song is one of the quintessential metal songs of all time. Lyrics about not letting the daily grind crush your spirit. There's so much speed and ferocity, and this is also one of the best vocal performances you will ever hear. Plus, add in some great solos that are trading off and a really, really cool dual lead guitar section, and yeah, Screaming for Vengeance. Coming in at number 3 is Hero's End from Stained Class. Another Judas Priest song that has a great groove and fantastic lyrics. This is also one of the last Judas Priest songs where you can really hear Rob Halford's blues and soul influence in his vocal performance. There's so much raspiness to it, and it kind of leaves you wondering how is he doing this without hurting himself, but it sounds amazing, and it also really fits the song's swagger. So yeah, Hero's End is a song by Judas Priest that, while not indicative of their iconic sound from the 1980s, I think is easily the kind of sound that I really, really love. It just has a special quality to it that they never really recaptured in the 1980s. But that doesn't mean that I don't love their 80s sound, because coming in at number 2 is Freewheel Burning from Defenders of the Faith. If someone had told me that they've never heard a heavy metal song in their life and they just wanted to hear one track to understand what metal is all about, there's a good chance I'd show them Freewheel Burning. It's thrashy, it's melodic, it's heavy, but it's also anthemic. It is just everything that makes metal awesome condensed into 4.5 minutes. From beginning to end, it is just non-stop, and I don't know how many times I can say this, but it also has a masterpiece of a guitar solo by Glenn Tipton, before once again going into another iconic dual lead guitar section. Everything about this song is just quintessential metal. One of the best songs in heavy metal history. And coming at number 1 for me is Dreamer Deceiver from Sad Wings of Destiny. This is like their version of Stairway to Heaven, but honestly, I like it better. It's such a great psychedelic and progressive song that just keeps building more and more as it goes on. I love the piano in it towards the end, and yeah, come on, say it with me. Glenn Tipton, masterpiece of a solo. It's not my fault that this guy is just an expert at coming up with amazing guitar solos. It's such a beautiful and emotional song, and they never did anything like it before or since. If I was on my deathbed and I could pick one song to listen to before I jumped off the planet, I'd probably pick Dreamer Deceiver by Judas Priest, so it has to be number 1. It has to be their best song, at least if you're asking me. So there you go, the top 20 best Judas Priest songs, in my opinion, at this particular moment in time. Am I sure about this list? No. No way. There's so many amazing songs I left out, so let me know what are some of your favorite songs in the comments below. If you want to check out my instrumental song Waking Giant, there's a link down below you can go check out. And please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, all of that cliche YouTube stuff. It really does help the channel grow, and I really do appreciate it. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you at the next video.